actually have to because
She never collects.
she never collects it,
Yeah.
and it's like we don't even know how to do it half it. I went.
I didn't do
There's a
any
whole
of it.
other equation
Like
check
now
with
or like
plus
later?
for tension. Like it's
I just
F
need to
equals
see,
mg
I don't really know
plus
what I'm doing.
MA.
Oh, well then, shoot.
Okay, so first
Two
off,
different equations.
the homework from 3-2 is due by the end of the day today.
Yes.
Does anybody have any last questions over that? No, we're good? Is anybody ready to turn it in? If you're ready to, you can turn it into me. You can turn it into me anytime, or you can turn it into Mr. Urban or whatever. If you're gonna turn it into me and I'm not in here, like you come in sometime, just leave it in my tray, okay? Everyone's good on that? Okay.
I was on page 180 and I was like, how in the heck did you get ABC out of this one problem? Okay.
You said you wanted to do 34.
Out of appendix D?
So you just did,
Okay.
the product function, the quotient function, the quotient function,
I'm going to get my life together.
I think.
I've decided.
Don't put that away.
I've
Check
like,
my answers, but.
I always think about doing that, Ruthie, and then it never happens.
It never happens. Yep. Me too.
Like 2 nights ago, I was gonna get a lot done and be productive, but I didn't get home till 9 o'clock, and then I just didn't. So.
Wait, Hannah, let me see that again.
It's
Just
a
one more
vicious
time.
cycle. I always don't do my homework until like 8 or 9, and then I
Okay,
don't have
so
enough
you
time.
And then you stress out all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to get it done.
Trying to get it done, like before, like try to get second periods done before second period, so you do during first period. Okay, so on this part, you're trying to find all the, I think it says remaining trig functions. Okay, this is not a perfect point on your unit circle. So like your perfect points, like I think we talked about like at 30 degrees. Did we talk about this already? Like what your perfect points are?
I think so.
Okay, so if it's not perfect, this is when you have to use X, Y, and R. Okay, now what this part tells you right here is what quadrant it's in. So if I am looking at my quadrant, like what my angles are, between 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi, that's in quadrant 4. And in quadrant 4, X is positive and Y is negative. And R will never be negative, because R is the length of what? It's the radius, so the radius is always positive, okay? So I have to find what X, Y, and R are, yes, okay? So when I do this, I know Y has to be negative. Oh, I have more. There's some up there by the pencil sharpener that I just want in the closet. Those are like sandpaper? Do you need some new?
No, I don't need them. It says they have lotion on them, but
Clearly not.
But you don't think so?
I don't think it
You
matters.
think it's false
I don't think it
advertising?
matters how much lotion
And
they
3
have.
times strong.
What about this one? This one says soft and 50% stronger.
Sorry, Chloe.
Really?
Should she get mad? We get this.
I don't know.
When's that
She might get
strong?
distracted.
It's
Would you
50%.
just skip forward?
Oh, she can.
Okay, so in quadrant 4, X positive, Y is negative. So what letters go with cosecant?
C, S, and C.
Oh my goodness.
That's correct.
Oh.
C, S, and C. Okay, so sine
Y and R.
is Y over R, so cosecant is
R over Y.
R over Y. Remember how we said R can never be negative? So R is 4, and then Y would be negative 3. Okay, I think like, is 30 a whole number like tangent of 2 or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so like that's Y over X, so your Y would be 2, your X would be 1. A whole number. Okay, so then to find X, this is when you use your R equation. So R equals the square root of X squared plus Y squared. So 4 equals square root of X squared plus 9, right, because that's 3 squared, or negative 3 squared. So then I square both sides, so 16 plus X squared plus 9 7 equals x squared, so I know x is either positive or the negative square root of 7. Okay, but in quadrant 4, is x positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, so this would be positive square root of 7. And then we can find all of our trig functions. So sine is y over r, so that would be negative 3/4. Cosine is x over r, so square root of 7 over 4. Tangent is y over x. Now, because you're in calculus, they don't really make you rationalize denominators, so you can leave it as negative 3 over square root of 7. For those of you that are used to it, because I made you do it all last year in trigonometry,
It would just be 3, 7.
It's easy to
I
learn.
don't think anyone's gonna switch it.
okay.
No, too much work.
And then you don't have to find cosecant because you already found it, right? So then secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so 4 over square root of 7, which is 4 square root of 7 over 7, right? Is anybody going to rationalize?
No.
Nope. That looks like good.
Okay, and then cotangent is negative square root of 7 over 3. Does that help you with that section?
Yeah.
Remember what to do. If you did save your trig notes, it was from section 4.4. Not that I haven't taught, not that I have all my sections memorized, but I do. I used this book for a long time.
Not that I do, but I do.
I do. Not calculus, but calculus is a day by day. Probably for you guys too.
I feel that, yeah.
Bless you.
Wait,
Bless you.
okay. This might be a dumb question, but why is there only 5?
Well, because it said find the remaining and you already had cosecant.
Okay, okay.
Because it was given to you, but I'll put it up there and make you feel better.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. How do we do on the converting part? Some of you guys haven't done the homework yet, but
Very beginning.
yeah.
Good.
You're okay on that?
Okay.
Okay.
And I could be doing wrong, but.
Well, I have
Could
all,
be doing it
I have all the answers up through 34. I have not worked out the last 5 problems. Do you want to check to see if you're good?
So you said we don't have to do the simplifying or whatever if there's a square root at the bottom?
Are we supposed to leave the pi in for the radians?
On the radians, yeah.
Okay, I'll fix that.
What'd you ask, Faith? I'm sorry. I heard.
So we don't have to simplify if the,
You don't have to
Things
rationalize.
in the
No,
bottom.
they don't. No.
You don't know.
Calculus doesn't really make you rationalize. Because in calculus, you have to rationalize the numerator just as much as you do the denominator, so you just don't rationalize if you don't have to.
okay.
Any other ones you have questions on right now?
Were you confused with 41?
Huh?
Are you confused with 41? Unless you
Yeah,
don't know how to answer.
41. I.
You are confused with 41? Let me look at it.
It says Purdue equation 18A and 18B equals. I'm sorry that all of my questions are out of order. Every single time.
Do you want to hear the saddest thing you're going to hear all day or not really?
Yeah.
So this morning we were talking to Tara about how she's gonna go see Santa tonight. And then we're talking about like, he's gonna ask you like, were you a good girl? Or you a bad girl this year? And she goes, I was a good girl. And I go, you know what else Santa's gonna ask you? She goes, what? And I said, we go, well, what do you want for Christmas? She goes, I wanna go home. It like broke my heart. She goes, I don't know why my 2 families, we can't all live together. Isn't that so sad?
Yeah, that was kind of depressing.
We're not gonna talk about 41 yet.
All right.
I want you guys to really try proofs. Because you're just gonna get frustrated, but I'm gonna give you a couple of days to try them. I'll do the prove the identities, because those aren't like proofs.
Yeah, 46.
Yeah.
How much room do you think 41 is going to take?
Quite a bit.
Like half a page is good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just get parts A, B, and C.
Ah, all right.
You know?
So what knowledge that you have her, or that you have her?
Or can you tell us?
Yeah, I can tell you. It was in the newspaper, so
Yeah, I read that all the time.
it's public knowledge. No, the parents were arrested for neglect and abuse. So the oldest girl, when she was showed up at school one day, well, they also had educational neglect because they weren't sending their kids to school. So that's what happens if you don't go to school. But she showed up with hand marks around her neck. So like we have to, by law, report anything we suspect to be investigated. And I guess they'd already been investigated before. And they come and find out that, yeah, he had abused like her and the other kids and the mom and was neglectful. So they were both charged with it. He was charged with one other thing than the mom was charged with. But they have to do like parenting classes and there's a lot of things they have to do to like get it back. But she's failed her parenting class twice now.
So, are they ever gonna get the kids back?
I don't know. I feel like it's a 50-50 with what the judge will decide. I have no idea. They have like if you ever get your kids taken away, you have 18 months before they would ever terminate rights. So you have a year and a half to like get your life back together. So they've only been 7 months? 7 months. They've only been removed for the whole 7 months.
So if the parents don't get their act together, you're just gonna have the kids?
Well, I don't know that. I don't know what's gonna happen. But they have 11 more months to like
Get their
back
lives together.
And the next hearing's not until May. So I don't know if the judge will
So
decide.
do you guys have to go to the hearings?
No, I don't have to. No, I'm not summoned to go. I don't go.
Do the kids have to go?
No. They would like for me to go, but I'm not taking a day off work to go talk to the parents. I don't really care that much. Like, I just care about the kids, so. That might be bad, but it's true.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so when you're doing these kinds of problems, only focus on one side. Okay? So I don't care which side you focus on, but only focus on one side. So I'm gonna focus on the left-hand side. So the very first thing I would do, since I see this, is I would distribute. Okay, now you have to write it twice because it's squared. Okay.
She's just like, okay, I'm good, you don't need to do that.
No.
You're good now?
No, just keep going.
I did not think about foiling. I just thought about like it would be sine squared x plus cosine squared x.
Okay, so this would be sine squared x plus sine squared cosine plus sine cosine plus cosine squared. So this would be sine squared x plus 2 sine x cosine x plus cosine squared x.
How come that becomes sine squared x instead of sine x squared?
Well, because you're not squaring x, like you're,
Sine x and sine
You're
x.
squaring the sine of the x?
you're squaring what the value is, you're not actually squaring those variables. Sine is like what your function is.
So like, when it
X
says,
is just any angle. If you're not squaring the angle, you're squaring the function.
so when it says sine 2x, that's 2 times the value, or?
2 times the value of the angle, then you do the sine of that. Like X is your angle.
Yeah?
So if it's sine 2x, that means my angle is 30. It's actually the sine of 60.
Okay.
Okay? You don't do the sine of 30 and then multiply by 2. You multiply the angle. Okay? Alright, so then if you look at your Pythagorean identities, what is sine squared plus cosine squared? 1. So then that would be 1 plus 2 sine x cosine x.
I remember doing that.
Okay, and then if you look at your double angle formulas, 2 sine x cosine x, which this is U on your paper, would be sine 2x, which I'm hoping is what we're supposed to get.
Yep.
We did
So we're
How did you get that?
double angle.
On that paper.
I used formulas on this paper. So like the Pythagorean identities was sine squared plus cosine squared, and then double angle formula for the second part, the 2 sine x cosine x.
We did this in grade.
Well, this
5-1
is what we're
5-1
doing.
and 5-2.
This is true.
This is all true. 5-1 and 5-2. You have your own notes. Or when I go like, search me on YouTube.
You have a YouTube
That's what I go
channel?
like, yeah, that's how I
Gotta
go on my
get them
videos.
views, that ad revenue.
This video will go on my YouTube channel.
Why?
Cause that's how she posts it.
Okay, because sometimes YouTube gets blocked and sometimes other videos get blocked at school. So if I upload to YouTube, I can then embed, like I can use the embed code on Canvas so then it never gets blocked. So,
Sure. Okay.
our filter doesn't block anything that has the word embed with it on Canvas. So, it doesn't mean anything to you, but sometimes you can't access videos unless it says. So if you're ever in a class and you can't access videos, it's probably because it never embedded the video.
That's dumb.
All right. I'll tell Miss Schroeder.
And they'll be like, well, I linked it. That's not the same thing.
Okay.
Hello, Jessica. Okay, other questions?
48.
48.
Yeah, 48 looks like a tough one.
Was it super foggy in Newcastle?
I thought it was foggier like as I started to drive here.
It was like super foggy on 36.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
probably
from
foggy.
school?
Yeah. Like from Mechanicsburg,
I agree.
I was like, oh man, just
And
like
it was
hit
like
me.
10 degrees maybe.
Yeah, so my hair's wet. So I got out of the car and was walking into the school, and I get to the sidewalk and I touch my hair and it's like frozen.
Like icicles.
Like literally like
Yeah.
clumps. And I was like, I'm 15.
That's nice.
You have to wait for it to melt inside.
Yeah.
How much earlier than some of you got here in the morning?
How much earlier than 7? This morning I didn't get her till 7:45. I tried to get her at 6:30.
Man, that's so early.
Well, I know, but
You don't get to leave early either. That's awful.
no, I don't really.
Yeah, you have to leave like after school.
Well, and like every day, this is the first day I don't have a meeting after school today. So I can actually like.
You're gonna go home and take a nap.
No, I'm gonna work on schoolwork. So, I have lots to do. Alright, I don't really know what the best plan of attack is for this, because I haven't solved it yet, so I would just gonna go with what I would do. So the very first thing I always do is I try to get everything to be sines and cosines. So this could be like way longer than necessary, and I'm sorry, because I haven't actually solved them yet. Okay, but I can change tangent squared into sine squared over cosine squared. And then if I want to add them to be one fraction, you have to have a common denominator. So then I would multiply this one by cosine squared over cosine squared. Okay, now like why am I doing this? Well, first off, I know everything needs to be sines and cosines.
It was Whaley, right?
I am Miss Whaley.
I'm Ivy's sister, and she's sick today, so I brought you over.
Okay, just put it in my tray. Thank you. Can you say it on camera? But I just didn't know what she was gonna say. Okay, so if everything's combined on the right-hand side, then I want to hear everything combined on the left-hand side. And I just know the easiest thing for me to do is, okay, how can I get it to be one fraction? So that's where I would start. So then this would be sine squared minus sine squared cosine squared over cosine squared.
Do you have all of these memorized?
No.
Okay.
I think we just made it a little harder, but it's okay. Okay. It's okay. So then on the top, I would factor out a sine squared. So then I have 1 minus cosine squared. Okay, so what is 1 minus cosine squared? If you look at your Pythagorean did. Well, sine squared plus cosine squared
Sine
is
squared.
1. So it'd be sine squared. So then I have sine squared over cosine squared. But what is one of my sine squareds over cosine squared? What's this? So that would be tangent squared sine squared. Which is what I wanted. Here's what I'm saying, we made it a little hard, because I think we could have just factored out the sine squared from the, like, without getting a common denominator. We could have factored it out and saved a step, but.
We could have done what?
Like, I could have factored this out beforehand, before we had a common denominator, and I would have saved it a little, it would have saved one step. But I think you guys probably understand it better doing this.
Yeah.
Probably.
I really want you to try 41 to the best that you can,
I don't
okay?
know where to start.
Before, just try, just see, like, just at least try A, okay? If you don't want to do B and C, try to do A, because I'm not lying, when you guys go to college and you do math classes, almost every section has at least one proof, if not more. I would say, like, in my grad school classes, I would say half my assignment is proofs, and half of it is
So then I'm gonna call
actual
you.
solving. Huh?
I'll say, hey, Miss Willie, you wanna help me out?
I mean, you can call me and I'll probably be like, I don't know. I may be able to help you out. I may be too busy. I had somebody ask me if I would tutor them in their college classes. I said, I don't have any free time and I'm really sorry. So, any other ones you want me to do right now? Good? Okay. I think I said turn on work on Tuesday or Wednesday.
To Wednesday.
I don't really care.
Wednesday.
Okay, I'm gonna start 3-3 on Monday, okay? Which is over the derivatives of trig functions, okay? And that's will be the last section, because I wanna also make sure we talk about some things that you're like still struggling with from the test, so when I grade them and finish them this weekend. If there's little minute things that don't really affect anything at all, and it's only a couple people here and there, I'll probably just talk to you one-on-one about it. But like understanding limits and understanding how limits and derivatives go hand in hand with each other, and tangents of lines, those are pretty important. So if those are things, I'll make sure I go back over. You guys can.
I feel like if I retook the test now, I would get a better grade.
I kind of think the same thing.
So all of that 3 homework we'll be doing like a day?
No.